So, Kristen, you talk a lot about the importance of employee experience, employee engagement, and the role of technology. What do you think the biggest drivers are as far as engaging employees, and where does technology fit in within that?
Yeah. So 60% of the employees at Pandora are millennials, are under the age of 34. So that's who we are. That is our culture. We do a lot from an employee engagement standpoint, and I think each company has to do what's appropriate and what's fitting for them based on their business, based on their culture. We're all about music. Our purpose is helping to bring the infinite power of music to the world. And so in our work environment, we do a lot of playing music, in the open spaces. And that connection to purpose is really important for us just in general for engagement. But when you think about matching that with what millennials want these days, they want to be, I actually think all people want to be tied to a purpose. So that's something. The other thing is we do a lot of social and community building. And it's not just, having parties. That's actually a big part of it. But it's also coming together to develop stronger relationships, not only in the company, but outside the company. We have a really strong giving back culture. And so we're doing a lot with partners in the community, and that is really important for employee engagement. The one area that we're really working on harder is the area of growth and development. When we look at the reasons why employees leave the company, number one is for career opportunities. And they don't see that there are as many career opportunities inside the company as there are outside the company. So we're really focused on helping people see the opportunities, explore the opportunities, and grow within the company. And that, I think, has a much more enduring impact on employee engagement.
Yeah, that makes sense. So typically when a lot of people think of the employee experience, that a lot of components can fit into that. And so I like to think of the employee experience as a combination of three environments: the cultural, the physical, and the technological. We talked a little bit about the technological piece. We touched on slightly on the cultural piece. But what impact does the actual physical environment have on the employee experience? I had a chance to visit LinkedIn's offices, Cisco's offices, your offices, and you guys are all doing really cool stuff in the physical space, as I'm sure is NetSuite, Sugar, and Jive, but I haven't seen your spaces yet. So what does that physical space, what impact does that have on the employee experience? Why is that so important? We can start with you.
It's important not for what it seems on the surface, but what it enables. If it enables collaboration, if it enables people bumping into each other in sort of a serendipitous way and having that moment, where you share an idea that you wouldn't have if you hadn't bumped into each other, haven't talked to each other. I think it also, again, that physical space is a manifestation of your culture, your purpose. We have our conference rooms are named after either music venues or bands. And so it's this constant reminder of the deeper held principles that you have as a company, and that sort of infiltrates, your brand as an employer and your brand as in our case, a music streaming service.
I get worried when people talk about the physical space is going to go away and nobody's going to have offices and nobody's going to go, because we're a collaboration company. That's what we do, and that's an integral part of our culture. And we have product that facilitates that, but you can't. Even that doesn't replace the one-to-one connection that I get with somebody that I need to trust and that I want to care about and that I want to feel connected to in a way that keeps me connected to the mission of the company. So I think it has to be both. There both has to be a place or a way that you bring people together that reinforces the culture, but then you can also have the technology that comes with that. So I think we're always going to want to go to an office at some way or come together in some way.
When you have the office environment, there's so many different ways that you can connect. You can have half cubes. You can have quarter circle cubes. There's going to be a dividing line that we find, for instance, that half cubes are going to work better than quarter cubes because I'm in professional services and I need to be on the phone. So half of the battle, again, is HR's battle on how do I make sure everybody has that environment to work in. The technology there is simplistic. We enable you through that. But we still have the battle of having to work in that environment. How do the IT guys sitting next to the professional services guys do their job? If the professional services guy is on the phone with a customer and having a problem, do we know that we have to shut up, right? And a little tiny desk here is, I have multiple very loud people on my staff, but there's no way in hell I can shut them up. So you give them noise cancelling headphones, great for them, not so much for the phone. So there's still that battle between how do we create the balance there? Technology-wise, yeah, not a no-brainer, but I still have to fight with who can hear who doing what, and that comes into space.
I'm just going to have to add, so when you walk into someone's home, you get a vibe, right? Every company has a vibe. Their physical space, the color scheme, the pictures on the wall, the stories they tell, they're creating a vibe for you to say, here's who I am, this is what I stand for, and you are welcome here. And I am different than the competitor down the street as well, by the way. I am unique. And so it's a branding tool. Let's be real. It's a branding tool. It's a productivity tool. So you have the services, you have the location, you have choices for people on where they want to work and how they want to work. I'm an introvert, and so I like quiet spaces, but I want to engage with people, so I love coming in the office. I mean, they suck my energy out sometimes, but I get my quiet time. I find a space, and I have the technology to service me. But people need an anchor. You need a community. And a physical space is part of that community. And like an industrial engineer, if you design your community in the right way, you will find those moments to bump into each other. That's the virtual coffee room, right? That's the cafe. That is, used to be the printer. Wherever it is that the technology is I need to get, that's where I'm going. And I didn't see you last weekend. Where are you? And so you create this community around this space. And so there's a lot of science and art around that, and I don't want to undermine that space. There's also the noise. So we just heard some noise in the background. So there's a lot of science going into the noise cancellation. So if you walk in a hallway, can you dampen the noise so it feels like an intimate conversation, even though we're in a big room? Because you can have a large space but feel intimate. And so there's noise, reflection of noise, of natural light, how I talk, how I show up, what is the brand I'm giving you, and what's the best use case of that space. Because if you want a utilization of that space, say it's 60%, that means 40% is hoteling all the time. That means people are coming and going, so it means plug and play for your resources. That's good. I don't have to have my kid's picture, but I can have it in my bag. I can put it on a desk if I need to see my children, or look at my iPhone and see my kids if I really need to. But the desks and the location and what it means is all versatile. It's supposed to enable you to create a community and get a sense of who I am as a company, where I belong.
I remember about 5 years ago doing focus groups with our employees, and I remember being really surprised by just how important the work environment was. I expected to see more about some of the common things, pay. I expected to see more around the work. And I remember thinking, wow, environment was almost at the very top of the list. And you could see that it was emotional. You could see that there was a pride element to it as well. And I think as we learned that, we started to put the focus on the environment. Like everything else we've said, it's so customized. What we typically try to do is involve the people that are going to live in the space in designing what it looks like. The thing that makes me laugh is I think all of us want to work in the kitchen, because so many of our work environments now look like the kitchen or the cafe, and so that's where we like to work, and I think you're going to see more of that.
The heart of the house is the kitchen. Right? Every time I entertain, are they hanging around the turkey or the roast I'm making?
That's right.
I totally get the kitchen.
So I would add to that. So we do, employee engagement surveys, as I'm sure everybody does, and the number one thing that keeps our employees engaged is the connection to the people. They love who they work with. They love their manager. They love the interaction. When we get the written feedback, just like you're saying, the physical space surprisingly comes back with, we need more whiteboards, we need more color, we need this, we need that. So at NetSuite 2 years ago, we got these results back and we took a hard look at it, And we are investing a lot of money in building out and refurbishing and renovating our physical space for employees because it actually is a way to attract and retain talent. Believe it or not, it's expensive, but it does attract and retain the talent. And we've got, much like we were saying, we have big long tables set up that look like a kitchen, and I am so amazed when I walk by and see people doing work there at lunchtime chatting, and then after lunch working there, and they love to congregate in the kitchen spaces. So it matters. Technology is important, but that sense of connection and belonging and being proud of your workplace, I think, still drives a lot of people today.
Yeah.
Can I just tell one story about this? Because
Sure.
what Pat and what Kathy just said.
I know, this is just one.
Today, I work in downtown Oakland because that's where our company headquarters are. Oakland is the coolest place. And I was walking from my office to the parking lot, and there were a couple people sort of walking around me. I got into the elevator. The parking lot hit 5 because that's where I always park, and there were these 2 people in the elevator. And this guy turns to me and he said, "Do you like working at Pandora?" I was like, have I met you? Do you work at Pandora? Because we're growing so fast, I meet all kinds of people, I don't remember them. And so I was like, yeah, I love it. And he said, oh, we wish we could work there. He said, we work in the other part of the tower. We have these 2 towers in the building, and we share it. It's not just a Pandora building. Other companies are in there. And we can see you through the atrium. We look down into the Pandora offices, and it just looks really cool. And you've got, some people working at high desks, and people are milling around. He said, I want to work there.
That's mean.
And so attracting, he's never been in Pandora. He's never been in the office, but he's seen it kind of through this window.
It's the vibe.
And I said, check out our job site because we're hiring.
It's like teasing a puppy with a little treat and then not giving it to it. It's horrible. So curious to hear from you guys. How many of you think the physical space is going to disappear and we're all going to have virtual spaces? Nobody thinks the physical space is going to disappear. Okay,
We like
great.
community. People like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. All right, Steve. So, question for you as being the resident technologist on the panel.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know you're right smack in the middle of all
did that on
HR
purpose,
people.
didn't you?
I didn't do it.
It's the HR people, I'm not sexist.